regular meeting of the Beacon Board of Education. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Larry Cohen.
Here.
Betsy Dennis.
Here.
Jennifer Edge.
Here.
Christine Galbo.
Here.
Frank Garnett.
Here.
Georgia Patchen. Here. Mary Beth Stevens.
Alicia's just running like
Rosa.
Here.
Melissa Thompson.
here. Mr. Hilberg, would you review the fire exits?
The fire exits are all around us, to the rear, to the side, audience left, the board's right, and to our left behind us.
Would you like to be acknowledged?
It's my great pleasure to introduce the principal of the JVF school, Mr. Eric Wright, for his report. I'd like to also thank and welcome all the faculty who came out tonight. It's great to see you. Your rooms look great tonight.
Good evening, Mr. Hilberg, Dr. Walkley, and members of the board. I'd like to welcome you to JV Forester on behalf of myself and my staff. Before I move on, I just want to thank you for coming here. It's a pleasure you all to be here with us this evening. I would like to also take this opportunity to give a couple of my staff the opportunity to say good evening. So please just raise your hand as I call your name. Nicole Pinzetta, pre-K teacher. Terry Lucido, kindergarten teacher. Lisa Ebeling, first grade teacher. Debbie Wagi, second grade teacher. Jen Gall, third grade teacher. Carol Salvis, third grade teacher. Lynn Greco, fifth grade teacher. Jen Fisher, fifth grade teacher. Kathy Pezzo, art teacher. Pam Ciatoli, K2 Spectrum teacher. Reading teacher Matt Combs. TA Sherry Fisher. As you see, this is the support that I've been getting throughout the time that I've been here this year. Some of our staff could not make it tonight, but I'm sure they're here in spirit. Our student enrollment at this point in time is 301 students. We started the year with 308 students, but due to the fact that we are somewhat of a transient population, we've had some kids come and go throughout the course of the year. We have two classes on each grade. We have a spectrum class, which is a K-2 class, which is actually in its first year of existence here at JV Forester. We also have an AM and a PM pre-K class. Throughout the year, we've had a lot of professional development to support our teachers. Specifically, we've had some ongoing professional development in terms of close reading. Close reading is the new buzzword for elementary teachers in elementary schools. It's been in existence in our middle and high schools for many years, but it has now found its way down to the elementary population. And it's our goal to make sure that our students are prepared to really analyze text. So that means repeated reading with text. Also, they need to understand what text-dependent questions is about. So what we've done is we've done professional development around that as well. And what we see is that our students will and have started to grow because of that. Throughout the year, as I said, that I started on October 1st, and I've seen our teachers come together in order to support me through my first year here. And that support has really helped us to get a lot of things accomplished. We had a holiday concert back in December that was well attended. I didn't know the magnitude of the event until I arrived. And to see so many faces in the audience, our parents were there and they really enjoyed the concert. I received tons of emails from parents thanking us for a job well done. Unfortunately, our music teacher, Susan Wright, couldn't be here tonight so that I can, share her with you all, but she did a tremendous job working with our students, and it showed on that night. The Pete Seeger tribute, which took place a couple of weeks ago, it actually hit the Poughkeepsie Journey. My students took part in that. I was very proud of that accomplishment because our music teacher, once again Susan Wright, as well as our students, worked hard to prepare for that event. What I didn't get an opportunity to show you, and I hope you get to see during the transition, is right outside of our multi-purpose room, we have some published reviews that actually were in the Poughkeepsie Journey. And it's our students, all J.B. Forrester students, that actually made the Poughkeepsie Journey. So I'm really proud of that. One of our teachers, Carol Salvis, has been really instrumental in getting our students recognized and their work recognized. Back in January, we had a rainforest exhibit that was well attended by one of our neighboring schools, Glenham, and our school came together, and the show was awesome. We had two evening sessions that were well attended, and it let me see how well our district works together, to support each other. As you had an opportunity to see earlier, our ocean animal expo that took place today, it was the culminating event today. It was well attended by parents from both kindergarten classes. And like I said, you had the opportunity, and I'm sure you were amused by some of the projects that you saw behind you. Our staff has been, like I said earlier, a great support. We have several committees here at J.B. Forrester, and I'm extremely proud that we've been able to move many agenda items forward. In terms of our discipline committee, we were able to put together a discipline plan that we actually put out to the staff in December. Our building advisory, we work together, which is spearheaded by our union representatives, Terry Lucido and Leslie Tompkins. We work together on any agenda items, any activities, any concerns that we have building-wide. And the fact that we are so proactive, we've been able to meet the needs of our staff and keep things underneath the covers, so to speak, to actually work with, to actually work with each other so that our concerns are taken care of without it becoming major concerns. Our parents have been supportive in putting together pieces like our rainforest and some of the volunteering that has taken place. In our kindergarten classes, on a day-to-day basis, we have parents here, and they work hard in the classrooms, in the centers, as I spoke to you about earlier. In our kindergarten classes, they work center-based throughout the course of the day, and our parents are right there working alongside the children to make sure that it takes place. The sharing of resources is something that our teachers have been doing quite often throughout the course of the year. And what that has done is helped us to move forward into being a collaborative environment, which is ultimately my goal. As we work together, we will continue to grow together. Some of our upcoming events, a lot has been put forth by our PTSO, our Good Touch, Bad Touch program, which will take place beginning tomorrow. We have a talent show / ice cream show, social / blood drive. All three events take place at the same time.
That's a combo.
And it's a little different, but it's a way that we work together with our community, and I'm sure it's going to be well attended. Our Engineer Week, which is presentations done by engineers from IBM. I was able to solidify a date with IBM today, and so that's going to be taking place in the very near future, in early March. And I look forward to that as well, so that our children get the opportunity to see some of the different careers that are out there. Our spring concert, which will take place, and I'm hoping if it's anything like our holiday concert, it's going to be awesome. Officer Field program, which works in collaboration with our police department. That is something else that will be taking place during March. And then lastly, the Clearwater Grant, which our fourth grade teachers was able to solidify. So our fourth grade students will be on the waters up and down the Hudson River, and they'll get to actually write about it and their experience of doing so. With that, that's my report for tonight. Thank you.
I'd like to, I'd like to, before we give you the standing ovation, we've done some good things here together at Beacon, and one of the things that we've done is we hired Eric Wright, don't you think? And Eric has really proven himself in this short period of time to be an instructional leader. And you've seen by our tours in the classroom that Eric really knows what's going on in the classrooms, points out the teacher's work, and embraces it as his own, which is really great. So you're to be commended, and thank you for your great work. We appreciate it.
You're welcome, and thank you, Mr. Hilbert.
And next, in college, we used to have a thing called the MAGO scale, M-E-G-O. Makes eyes glaze over. And we used to rate our professors. So I hope that when we start to talk about budget, that your eyes don't start to glaze over. We'll do our best to move it along. Tonight we'll be talking about buildings and grounds and technology. Anne Marie, what are we going to do first?
Facilities and operations, buildings and grounds first.
Well,
So everyone, the PowerPoint that I'm going to go over is on the website. So if you could just put everybody on it. We'll go through a couple of PowerPoint slides, and then at the end, if you have any questions, both Henry and I are here that we could answer any questions from there. So, on the agenda slide, we're going to go briefly over the schools and the buildings that are in the district, what our current facilities and operations staff is, the difference between 1620 and 1621. Those are just basic budget code numbers. One is for operation and one is for the maintenance of the plant. What our total facilities and operations budget comparison from 12-13 to what we're projecting for 13-14. What our accomplishments were during the year and what our future considerations will be for the upcoming year. Our schools and buildings are listed on the next slide, and it lists out all the square footage per building, which is important to us that, looking at the facilities just to make sure we have enough people cleaning the buildings on a daily basis and maintaining them for the kids and the staff. Our total square footage of buildings across the district is about 600,000 square feet, and we have approximately 195 acres all over the district. That includes the school buildings, the administration building. It also includes the acreage out by the bus garage, including Dutchess Stadium and the land next to that as well. That's all district-owned land. Currently, the facilities and operations staff is comprised of the Director of Facilities and Operation, that's Henry Sabelli, an administrative school secretary that's shared with the technology department, 3 maintenance mechanics, 4 groundskeepers, and 33 custodial staff. And in paren there, we have a reduction of 2 staff, and we'll get into our accomplishments for last year, but there was a reduction from last year to this year. The next slide talks about all the numbers that our eyes may gloss over, but I'll go through it really quickly. It's just a comparison of 12-13 to 13-14 projected budget that we're going to ask the voters to vote on in May. Just the highlights of this area. The salaries are self-explanatory. The equipment stayed the same. You'll notice a small decrease in the natural gas and the electric area. And that's always a hard area to determine. We always want to make sure that if we have a tough winter, we have enough in the utility area. But Henry was able to go through with me and look at a 5-year average and actually tighten up those numbers a little bit more that we had done last year. And as you remember, last year for the 12-13 budget, we did significantly reduce those areas, but we felt we could fine-tune them a little bit more, so we did have some reduction in those areas as well. The other area that's kind of significant on this page, besides the bigger utilities, are the contractual services. Those are mostly compliance items, elevator testing, fire testing. We have an alarm system, we have a fire system, we have boiler maintenance, we have uniform service, we have a company that comes in and checks our fuel tanks at the bus garage. So it looks like, you know, a lot of money in one area, but it's a lot of outside consultants, compliance testing, and maintenance for our big areas of the district. In the 1621 area, again, in the maintenance, the only increase that you'll see is a small increase in the salary items. Otherwise, the total is comparable. So if you add the 1620 and the 1621 codes, which would be the total facilities and operation budget, you're going to see a flat increase. It's a 0% increase from 12-13 to 13-14. The next two slides here just show you kind of what I just said in a pie chart, but it shows you what the percentage of the facilities area is, and it's mainly in the operation of the plant and then the maintenance. And it shows you it's the same percentage from 12-13 to 13-14. We had last year was a significant decrease in some of the areas, as you remember, of the facilities and operations. Besides the utility area, we decided to eliminate the third shift at the high school. And it was a cost-saving measure. It was probably not as easy as we first thought it would be in the short term. But now things have kind of settled out. We've worked out square footage. We've worked out staff. That is how we are able to keep the eliminated 2 custodial positions that we had said last year during the budget process, with cleaning the building and making sure that building was clean on a daily basis. We also eliminated the working foreman position. That was Russell Cullingham. When he retired, we did not replace his position as well. So that's something that we are going to continue for the 13-14 school year. And also, again, as I said, the reduction of utilities. You know, again, the utilities area is always hard to determine, but yet we were able, looking at prior cost experience, we were able to fine-tune that just a little bit there. Future considerations for this area, we're looking at the quantity of work contracted out, continue to use a competitive bid process, trying to get the best price for the work that we do here. We want to have some professional development opportunities also for the staff, to bring in vendors to come in and help, you know, just utilize new equipment, utilize new cleaning supplies, just make sure that the buildings are in top shape. And improve the skill levels to have projects and repairs done in-house. So we are trying to look at that to try to keep our current staff busy and use outside contractors less. We also, as the board remembers, we also are beginning the process of the energy performance contract. We are looking at RFPs and bids in the next couple weeks, so you'll be hearing a little bit more information as we get that from ECG. And the work would be in the summer of 2014. So that's another consideration. A little more long-term, but it will happen. Does anyone have any questions about facilities and operation budget?
A couple of questions. The utilities, are you assuming that the cost of utilities on a unit basis is going up?
We did include a small increase in there, yes. Only because we just never know. I mean, the gas prices are going up, so we're imagining that, you know,
right.
Natural gas will go up as well, and electric.
So the decrease from last year to this year is primarily based on the assumption there'll be less usage?
Yes.
Okay.
And then as the energy performance contract goes into effect, you know, we're hoping that's more of a long-term kind
And
of.
how is the actuals this year trending? I mean, are they, you know?
The actual, I mean, although the winter, you know, compared to last
yeah,
year
it's half over.
Yeah, it's half over. We are getting a little more precipitation than we were, but we're not. The utilities fund, we still have a lot of money encumbered in those codes, so we would be fine going into the end of the year.
Okay. So, I mean, this year, if you were to compare our expenditure this year compared to next year's budget, it's below
Yes.
next year's budget. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else have any questions?
I have one. Do you mind explaining a little bit what the energy performance contract is?
Energy performance contract. If you recall, those folks were here and did that presentation about a month ago. I don't know if you were here or not for that.
Yeah.
Was it a month ago?
It was in December, right?
Okay. What it does is at no cost to the district, it improves on systems and the envelopes of the building to improve the energy usage, and it's paid for by the savings over a number of years. So we follow the rules and regulations set forth by the State Education Department. It's state aidable, and as a matter of fact, it does generate a positive cash flow for the district. So districts that have done that have improved the energy conservation in all their buildings, which is a good thing, and they save money. I've been personally involved in 2 other districts, and they've had positive outcomes, and boards were delighted. So hopefully that'll be the same experience here. We're looking in March 11th to open up the bids, and we'll have on the 18th of March, that board meeting, we believe that we'll have a report for the board in your packet about where that's going. So it's looking good right now. We have a number of good bidders, very strong bids.
Excuse me, if I may, Ms. Steffenberg, add to your comment about the performance, the energy performance people. When they did make the presentation, once we do sign on and the contract is proposed to us and we accept it, they give us an amount that we are going to save, and if the savings is not actually realized, they're liable for it financially to make up the difference. So we actually have a win-win. So we have nothing to lose in this, which is really a wonderful thing. And that was the one thing that stood out most in my mind because of the risk.
I appreciate you mentioning that. Great.
Okay.
How about we talk about technology?
Okay, on to technology. Okay, everybody have their agenda. We'll briefly go through technology. We will talk about the current technology staff and what's included in 2630, which are the budget codes related to computers, and a comparison of the 12-13, 13-14 projected budget, what our year-to-year cost comparison were, some major goals that we achieved in 12-13, and the areas that we hope to improve in the 13-14 school year. And then if there's any questions, both Tim Fishine and I are here. We can answer. Our current technology staff is composed of a director of technology, that's Tim, an administrative school secretary, who I mentioned before is shared with the facilities department, a network specialist, 2 information service specialists, an audio-visual technician, who happens to be here tonight, and an office system specialist who is our data coordinator for the district. The next slide shows a comparison for 12-13 and 13-14 projected budget. So it lists through salaries, and you'll notice that the salary codes are probably the smaller increase based on the CSEA contract. But all the other codes in there, the hardware, the contractual expense, the travel was reduced a little bit, but all the rest of the codes were flat from last year to this year. Again, the area that always is a little bit most confusing is the contractual expense, because that's our outside agencies. And in technology, it's mainly for high-end support of our network. It's also for our student information system maintenance in there as well. We also have bandwidth that we have to contract out and do, and also telephone system support. So all of those things are included in that area in that budget code for contractual. The BOCES service line item is flat. As you know, it was a lease of computer equipment that we had done several years ago. So that's still in the contract, in the budget. As you'll see, there's pie charts showing you the total technology budget and what areas make up those areas there, and a bar chart to show you the same. The major goals that we achieved in 12-13, as you know, I also want to mention as well, in the technology department, when we were doing the 12-13 budget, we also cut $100,000 out of the area of contractual services. We were able to do a huge wireless project. This year, it was part of a capital project, but also part of the general fund. So all the schools now are able to be wireless, which is wonderful. So we can use our laptops wherever we are here.
Anne Marie, I'm sorry to interrupt. One of the categories here, the codes that we looked at was travel, and we were able to tighten that up a little bit by about $1,200
Right.
for this year. That's typically the travel for our staff as far as professional development goes, county meetings, stuff like that. So we were able to tighten that up a little bit.
Right. Good, thank you. So obviously one of our major goals, the district-wide wireless, is now available, which has made life a lot easier for our staff and our students. We had a web filter replaced, which is much more effective. It's safe and it's less intrusive model than what we were using before. Our smart labs were installed in each of the buildings, and we had talked about this previously, that they were funded out of money that we had from Senator Saland. So each one of the buildings got a brand new computer lab with a smart board in each of the areas. Now also there's fast and easy remote access portals. They're available to all the students and teachers, which has really helped with learning in the buildings. We had Safari Montage video on demand system, which is now installed, and Tim and his staff are currently rolling it out.
Yep.
Okay. Making Classroom Connect available and organized to the Common Core standards. We had a different video on demand system. With this one, is far surpasses it, so we are excited about it getting out. And then also classroom video streaming, which would allow morning news shows and broadcast events. That Tim had mentioned to the principals that is going to roll out as well, so they were all very excited about that. So areas that we're looking for improvement. When you focus on instruction, we're looking for a one-to-one, a blended learning initiative. We're hoping to purchase, we're going to start on Chromebooks, but additional laptops and tablets for the students here in the district. Increase the availability and usability of mobile laptop labs at the elementary school level. There are laptop labs. There's also laptop carts in the building, but we're trying to upgrade them and make them easier to use. Expand the high school, middle school wireless access to accommodate the influx of student devices. And you remember the high school was the first wireless project that we had done. That was prior to Tim starting here. And already we need more. So, the amount of laptops and tablets and everything that could be used to enhance learning has really increased. So we need to just do a little bit of an upgrade in both the high school and the middle school. We want to continue to add smart boards and the document cameras to the classrooms. Streamline the usability of the overall software experience. And Tim and his staff have done that already, so fewer logons. Prompts, passwords, less for the staff and the teachers to remember, just to get into the system. And we're trying to replace older and less user-friendly software. So Tim is working with the principals and with Barbara to try to roll out some additional software. And provide greater home access to district office resources for lesson planning and additional instruction time. The home access has definitely improved from what it used to be to what it is. So I can speak firsthand for that. That was a great development there. Expand professional development opportunities to all the faculty and staff to get them up and running with the system and to learn what's available to them and how they can use it. And provide clear and concise instructions for how to access the district technology resources. And Tim and his staff have been really good about getting the information out, getting the directions out, helping people, like me, who couldn't get on the system tonight. So it's been great. Does anyone have any questions about technology?
Before we have questions, I'd just like to make, kind of round it up, make a statement. We're absolutely convinced, based on current research, that technology is the vehicle for the future, and technology integrated instruction is becoming more and more of the focus in K-12 education. We're really blessed, and I don't say this enough, to have Tim here. We look at the budgets over the years. The technology budget has not increased very much, but the productivity has increased exponentially. It's absolutely been incredible, and I think the teachers sitting here tonight would agree that the usability is amazing from what it used to be. I was here once before in 2011, and I threw my computer out the window one time, and people weren't happy about that, but still things didn't get any better. But with Tim here, things got a lot better. We're very excited about the usability, the user-friendly nature of our systems, but we're more excited about the future. As computers are going to be integrated into instruction so that every teacher, if we just put our binoculars on and look further in the future, it'll be very user-friendly, using technology in all their lessons, being able to work from home. There's a lot of exciting models, blended learning, the switched classroom, a lot of things that we're looking at. And Tim, who was not all that familiar with instruction and technology, is becoming our own expert. So we really appreciate that, and we're very excited about it. So thank you. Now questions.
I have a question or comment. Are there any schools in what would be considered in our vicinity that have gone onto the Chromebooks and laptops? Like, is there any pilot program that's out there that would be possible to get an understanding of how this really works within a school district?
We can. We have been doing that for the last year. There's several districts in the area, and this is one of the things where we don't want to be first.
That's the point I'm trying to make.
And we're very aware of that. This is a transition year. Next year we'll be piloting some of the things based on the experience other districts are having, so that we hope by the 14-15 year, I think that's what we're talking about, right?
Yeah, correct.
Then why don't you go from there?
Before I was here, I was actually split between North Salem and Somers School District. And I know Somers is heavily investing in starting this year, and I have a very close relationship with them. There's a few other districts in the area that are doing this type of thing that we're speaking to as well. But primarily, Somers, they're ahead of us far enough where we can learn from what they're doing and kind of mold and adapt that to what we want to do and what our vision is. It's like Mr. Hilberg had said, this is getting to be where technology is so integrated in how the classroom works. We can't afford to not have the technology available for the kids. A few years back, there was an initiative started called Group-Based Learning, where they had started putting 4 or 5 machines per classroom, and it was kind of ahead of its time. A lot of people couldn't really adapt to that type of learning style. People were starting to come around and see, well, this is what we need to do. We need to integrate the computers into lessons. But now with the Chromebooks being so inexpensive, it's actually going to save us money to go this route than to go with our standard model of labs and 4 or 5 machines in the classroom, because they're so much cheaper. Physical space, we don't have to dedicate that physical space that we used to. It's really amazing how far it's come.
Do you see there needing to be extra resources to accommodate, all these Chromebooks that are going to be going out into the home, and
it's funny.
The kid puts the spells on it or whatever?
One of the major upsides of Chromebooks is that, and we're still evaluating alternative options too, but Chromebooks, the more I dig into it deeper and deeper, the more check boxes in the plus column, and it's just win, win, win. They actually for every little bit of increased support we would need to support that massive volume of computers, there are 2 to 3 things that disappear because we're using Chromebooks. So the support, a lot of times districts will start with a one-to-one initiative and buy a Microsoft Windows laptop, which means we're going to have 3 times as many antivirus licenses, 3 times as many Windows licenses, Microsoft, email, all this other stuff. These Chromebooks are very specific in what they do, and a lot of those licensing problems, costs, are eliminated right off the bat. The software is cut down immensely. The support, these things have a reset button, basically. If you screw it up, we hit the reset button, you're back in action. So we spend that much less time fixing these things. So it really is wild how much, for every problem that pops up, 2 or 3 will be eliminated.
It sounds all like very nice and wonderful. Is part of this funding and part of this year's budget? I'm not.
Basically, when you're looking at the BOCES lease, that is going to move to that area.
Yeah, we'll be
Okay, so
purchasing.
it is in this year's budget, and it will continue if the board agrees into the future, and that will allow the funding stream. So it's really not going to be a big increase in funding. Like I said, this is going to be this is a year. Let's get ready. Next year is set, and the following year we hope is going to be go. So you'll have a lot of things to look at and maybe some decisions to make. I'm really impressed with how Tim has really climbed the mountain and has been looking at the big picture, looking at examples, looking at what works, what doesn't, and we're not rushing ahead. We're being sure that when we make a decision, it'll be something that's going to be cost effective. And what's just, if not more important, is that our teachers and staff will be able to use it effectively. So, looks good.
The BOCES budget for this, I had the same question. I didn't ask it, but I was thinking it for buildings and grounds and everything. Are those actual contracts that the prices are fixed? Because it's probably too early to actually have gotten guidance from them as to what their budgets could be for this current year, for the next year, right?
We have the initial service request form that we actually sign up for services. In the maintenance area, last year we kind of used them less. We used them for testing specifically, but I took that into consideration of, a small increase, in their areas. Facilities, we didn't use, a lot of their area. Technology, we left it flat, knowing that we have to do something else because the lease would be ending, and we would be hopefully purchasing other equipment through that because it generates the BOCES aid the following year. So, the push is you constantly have to turn
and they're
over
very
the
good about
equipment.
getting us the numbers. I have numbers pouring in for a month now of what they expect. They're very good about getting it. They know the school fiscal year and how it works, and this is budget time, and they've been very good about getting me numbers.
Okay.
So it's pretty indicative of how things are going to be.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how far along they were with their own budget planning, so that you would know what the costs were going to be.
Yeah. They actually work on the same schedule as we do, so they're in the same boat, trying to put their budget together at the same time.
And all the superintendents are screaming out.
And we're all waiting for Albany.
Yeah. And the federal government now. So that's our buildings and grounds and technology, cost effective. We appreciate your kind attention and your questions.
Okay. May I have a motion for executive session?
Motion to adjourn to executive session to review the employment history of a particular individual, and the board will return as soon as possible. Second.
Comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Board will return as soon as possible.